Welcome back, beautiful people, to a special bonus episode of the Money Talk series. Before we get right into it, make sure to hit the bell button and the subscribe button down below for more great content about investing, personal finance, and all that. And oh yeah, hit the thumbs up button as well. That way we can push the YouTube algorithm up and more people can see this video. My name is Tahmid, and today I won't be doing the usual preaching about personal finance concepts that I usually do in this series. I've made tons of videos about it. There's dozens of videos on personal finance topics, important personal finance topics that I've made that you can check out on your own time. And I'll make sure to put the link down in the description below as well to the Money Talk series. So yeah, check them out, please. But today I want to talk about a topic that gets everybody's blood boiling and their hearts racing fast: Toronto real estate. And try to dive into some of the big questions about where is Toronto real estate prices heading in 2020. Are they going to go down and collapse, or are they going to skyrocket like it's 2017 summertime all over again? And what does the pandemic and the panic and all these things mean for the Toronto real estate market in the short term and medium term? We know from the data so far that rents have been creeping down, and you may have heard in the news of the rent strikes and the Airbnb sell-offs or conversions to longer-term rental taking a toll on these small-time landlords. But hey, that's rental rates. Where are the real estate prices going to be? And if you own a home or are looking for a home or condo or whatever, then these questions really matter for you, and I'll try my best to break it down. So will those millennials like myself, well, not fully but partially, who have been holding their breath for years so they can finally afford a place in this ridiculously priced market, finally get their wish? Or will these fighting dreamers get burnt in a real estate market that always seems to be going up no matter what the world throws at it? So unlike a lot of the other financial channels on YouTube, yes, shots fired, here we look at facts and analysis, no fake gurus or furus, as I'm told they're called these days. Sorry, Ty Lopez. I will try to provide you with some expert opinion from experts, not myself, about what they think, and try to add some of my own analysis and color on the topic as well. You're more than welcome to share your own views and thoughts in the comments below about where you see Toronto real estate and even Canadian real estate heading in the comment sections down below, and I really look forward to reading what you have to say and what you're thinking right now. And once again, if you want to support a YouTube small-time financial channel that does it right, a finance and economics and money, personal finance channel that does it right, please, once again, hit the subscribe and bell button down below. And just some caveats, when I'm saying Toronto, I'm also including, for the most part, GTA, the greater Toronto area, because, it's a regional market and the markets are correlated. Although real estate can be quite regional, as you know, and even neighborhood-based and even segment-based, say the condo versus the detached home, the markets can behave differently at times. And if you look at the expert opinion these days on 2020 price trends, the opinions are all over the place. It's like Elon Musk and Grimes. I'm actually not sure how you say her name, but you get the point. The predictions are all over the place from the experts right now on where 2020 will take us in terms of real estate prices in Toronto and in the general Canadian market. And even their reasoning is all over the place. So let's try to, bring it together and reconcile some of the opinions and views. The most bearish right now among the experts seems to be the Canadian real estate seems to be the one that has the most insider data. It's the CMHC, which is short for the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, which is actually run by the government, so it might be smart to listen to what they're saying. CMHC took a bold step recently, and they predicted that Canadian real estate will experience a drop of negative, yes, you heard that right, negative 9 to 18% until early 2021, so next year, from pre-pandemic levels, and the recovery of prices will start in 2022. With the worst declines in prices being expected in Alberta as much as 25% down. That's negative 25%. That is a big deal. Those are like 08, 09 American real estate market numbers. And as you may know, if you follow my channel, hit the subscribe and bell button. Oil prices recently took a nosedive a couple months ago, and they went into the negative territory for a while where you could theoretically get paid for buying barrels of oil. And obviously, as you know, Alberta is quite oil dependent, so when the oil market dies, so does its real estate. And really nobody knew what was going on in the oil markets totally. It was kind of a mystery, like Elon Musk and Grimes' latest child's name. Wait, no, I think they only have one child, but their child's name, you get the point. So if you believe them, that's the CMHC, not Elon. The writing is on the wall, and on average, Canadian housing prices should correct in the near term. And in that case, Toronto, one of the major markets, the unofficial capital of Canada, should definitely take some sort of hit as well. And part of the reason CMHC is so bearish, they're so negative on home prices, is the massive numbers of people losing their jobs. People really are, unfortunately, losing their job in large numbers. There's been millions of unemployment claims in Canada in the recent months. Millions of people, that's a lot longer than the lineups for the recent Animal Crossing release. These days, that's what we compare numbers to. It's the lineup for Animal Crossing. I heard that game is popping off the charts right now. I don't play it, but if you do, let me know in the comments what you think of it. So yeah, as early as April 1st, Zoocasa, which is this big digital real estate sales and service company, and they're digital, so they get their data like this, like real time, real fast. And they were saying at the snap of a finger, like that, they were saying that the GTA, damn, I'm losing my snapping skills. But they were saying that the GTA housing market had already entered balanced territory using this fancy measure called the SNLR, sales to new listing ratios. It's kind of like Saturday Night Live, but with an extra R and way more boring, probably. Depends if you like SNL. Saying that the number was somewhere between 40 to 60. Don't sweat the facts. It just means that it's a balanced markets where the sales to listing ratios the sellers no longer have an upper hand. So there's not too much restriction in the number of listing versus buyers chasing the same amount of real estate or lower number of real estate. So what does that mean? That means no crazy bidding wars, and what these bidding wars do is multiple offer situations. They bump the price up by, like in Toronto, 100,000, 200,000, sometimes $500,000 extra on a house. So yes, a more balanced market as soon as Corona lockdowns hit was some good news and respite for buyers, and not so good news for those sellers. And this report was about early April when it came out by Zoocasa. Applying some more pessimism this time to the Toronto real estate market in specific and not the whole Canadian one. DBRS Morningstar, yes, I know it sounds like some racing game on the PlayStation, but these guys are actually one of the world's largest credit companies, credit rating agencies, and financial service firms. And they came out strong, to the joy of many millennials out there, I'm sure, in Toronto, crossing their fingers, holding their hearts. I don't know what they're doing for real estate prices to go down. So these racing game guys or girls who ended up in real estate and economics and finance, it seems, instead of PlayStation industry, they were saying that they foresee a negative 14% drop in the Toronto home prices by 2023, so calling for a rather slow and steady correction of prices downwards. They did hedge their bets a little bit, and they gave a range and they tied it to a bunch of factors such as where mortgage rates are going, and they said, you know what, we predict 10 to 15%, give or take, drop in home prices in total. So if you believe them and you own a home or a condo or whatever, townhome, in the Toronto region, that's not good news because that shows a few years of steadily declining prices. And their report, you can read it if you have nothing better to do. It's lengthy and filled with jargon and details, but they give some compelling reasons that I'm here to break down. One of them, once again, is the massive number of job losses across Canada and in Toronto. And as you know, jobs are very important to securing mortgages, which you kind of need to buy a home, unless you're super wealthy and you don't need that and you can buy all cash. But that's not the case for most of us. And as they lose jobs, more and more people are relying on Trudeau. Get that government cheese, my guy Trudeau. He will be blessing us all. And unfortunately, you can't afford Toronto real estate on government cheese, even if it's a whole $2,000 a month in the CERB, I think, and also for students, the CESB. So once again, Trudeau, my guy, he's looking out for the youngins. And they also talk about this whole mortgage deferral scheme that you may have thought of applying if you're a lucky homeowner in Toronto or in the GTA even. And they see it as a negative as people push back those debt payments. And Canadians are already very highly indebted, and they think a lot of people would get crushed by kicking the can down the road, as they say, and just letting the debt pile up. And at point, realizing kaboom, that they can't carry this debt anymore. And guess where they go? They go to sell off their home where they have some equity so they can reduce their debt loads. And hey, let's be honest, if you live in Toronto and you bought a home many years ago, or for some of you many decades ago, you're probably sitting on hundreds and thousands of dollars of built up home equity due to the crazy price rises, and some of you maybe millions of dollars of equity gains. Okay, boomer. Then you have the major Canadian banks, the 5 of them, the 5 very prestigious banks. That's what we do in Canada, finance, in Toronto especially. But CIBC was the one that detracted, and they kind of killed the mood by predicting something negative, unlike the other banks, and saying that they see a 5 to 10% drop in Canadian home prices from pre-COVID-19 levels, and no recovery until at least 2021 into the year. While their peers, the other big banks, were actually putting out positive home price reports for this year, 2020. Like, Corona ain't no big deal. We're gonna shrug it off and move on in the housing market. That's bold, calling for prices to go up in 2020, not even 2021, 2022, 2023 and beyond. For example, TD Bank was putting a call out for a 7% increase in home prices in Toronto in 2020. That's a 7% increase in a year where the market has been choked off and shut down by the coronavirus. And there were other optimistic groups and people as well outside of TD Bank, such as RE/MAX. You might have heard of them. Those are like the real estate agent people. Although asking for prediction on home prices from them is kind of like asking your barber if you need a haircut right now. What do you think they're gonna say? Also, it's kind of hard these days to get a haircut with this pandemic thing. So yeah, that's why I look like this. So let's come back to these TD guys, that bank who's saying there's gonna be a 7% rise in home prices in Toronto in 2020. What was their reasoning? Well, they think that the market is going to go back to normal really fast. Doesn't explain very well why they think that. Maybe a vaccine, maybe a cure, maybe magic, I don't know. But they also say that jobs will be coming back quite quickly, faster than we think. And maybe not, we'll have to see. If you're serving guac and chips down at the restaurant, that restaurant may never open up again. That's a legitimate concern. And it's not just the banks. Altus Group, another of these real estate data analytics firm, big data, so they get it fast like that. They were saying, yeah, it's pretty big business right now actually. They were saying Toronto housing market are going back to how it was pre-COVID-19 in 2020, or by the end of 2020, which is not very far away from now. So, there's so many contradicting reports, down 14%, up 7%. None of this makes sense. So what should we make of it as normal people? It's hard to guess right now because both supply and demand are suppressed by this virus and lockdowns, and we don't have a normal functioning real estate market like we would have a few months ago. And that means that any price data that's coming out right now can be quite skewed and not really indicative of what's happening and what will happen when markets or supply and both demand come rushing back. And as these reports suggest, as well, a lot of the ramblings online like Reddit that I've been closely following, if you want to see beef, you should go on Reddit and read some of these real estate subforums, the Toronto Forum, and these other places. People have been really going crazy about the rent strikes and, pitting us versus them, landlord versus the renters, the Airbnb people versus people who don't have Airbnbs, and all the craziness in between. But I digress. Coming back to Toronto, real estate, those who are optimistic right now, they have some grounds, common arguments they bring up. One of them is the super low interest rates, which make mortgages cheaper to carry, which make interest expenses lower. And also this seemingly endless level of government supports, they think will continue no matter how long this crisis continues, and they think that will be enough to prop up the housing market for now. And then the other side, the negative view is that, all this government cheese is not enough. People are losing their jobs. People don't have income. Without incomes, they can't get mortgages. They can't carry their current mortgages. So what's next? Foreclosures, sell-offs. And what does that do? Create more supply than there is demand because, immigration is kind of closed right now. If you didn't know, Toronto relies a lot on immigration to drive up its economy, including the real estate sector. So yes, we don't know, but when the supply and demand comes back, the market becomes more normal, we'll have a clearer picture of what's going to happen or is happening to the prices. And remember, Toronto real estate has weathered crazy events in the past, including the 08, 09 great financial crisis. We made it out of that. By we, I mean the real estate market. Made it out of that quite untouched. So personally, what I think in the short, medium term, I think that it's probably not wise to be too optimistic about real estate prices here. I would think there would be at least a mild drop, if not a correction. So maybe 0 to 5% before things do get better and continue moving sideways perhaps for a few months or maybe a few years. And then we'll get some sort of miracle drug or hopefully vaccine. And things will come back, will normalize, the truest sense of the word normal. And then we'll see once again prices starting to take off. And I don't know when that will happen, 2022, 2025, 2030, but it will happen. And I think there will be, again, an upward pressure on Toronto real estate. And hey, before we get to that normal, things will remain depressed for some time. Once again, could be months, could be years. And the prices will take a hit as a result of that because of the things, I've said, the big drop in household incomes, drop in employment, higher levels of debt among Canadian and Toronto households, and that will put pressure on people and Airbnb owners who no one seems to like in Toronto, and for them to sell off their real estate to pay off their debt. As Drake would say, running through the six with my woes. But hey, at least for the millennials out there or anybody looking to buy or rent, this could be a positive thing. Although the opportunities are much better if you're already wealthy, you work a nice cushy office job, working from home, getting a high income, and your expenses went down. So that means you're saving way more than you would have done. Guess what those people are saving for? Probably down payments on real estate. And as they say, the rich get richer. It doesn't look like Drake has lost his job yet. So at least there you go, Toronto, you have one buyer left. But yeah, as you can tell from these crazy ranges of prediction, no one knows accurately where Toronto real estate is, or Canadian real estate for that matter, is headed right now. And you heard some of the expert opinions, you heard some of my opinions. And I'd love to hear your opinion, so please do leave a comment down below. But regardless, it shouldn't matter what your home or condo or townhome prices are doing in the short term. You should be buying a home as a place to live. More on this in my Money Talk series, where I talk about all types of investments and looking at real estate, stocks, and whatnot. But you should be buying a home to stay there long term. I recently moved, and moving is a nightmare. So you should be thinking of your home as a place to live, a roof over your head, and something that, might give you some gains if you hold it long enough. Not something you're going to be flipping by 2022 or 2023 that, even if its value on paper goes down 5-10%, you'll be fine. That's nothing to lose your sleep over, because one day it most likely will come back up. The key here is patience. As they say, patience is a virtue. All that being said, make sure to keep a level head and not get into Reddit wars about what Toronto real estate should be, what it should have done in the past, what it should be doing in the future, and just be patient with it and keep watching the data and keep watching this channel. And that means to hit the subscribe and bell button for great content almost every day. This is Tahmid signing off. Peace, and I'll see you soon.